Nichols, as you mentioned, Rand Paul saying, do we really need to give bayonets to our police? I would ask, do we really need to give them some of these nasty, quote-unquote, non-lethal crowd control weapons that the military-industrial complex is starting to get very ingenious about cranking out? This is a huge profit center. The military-industrial complex has been funding the war machine that has gotten so out of hand here in the United States. Now they're turning inward to the United States, and they are coming up with all kinds of new and very nasty weapons for local police departments. Is there some way that we can prohibit that at the local level, that we can essentially enact maybe a gun control law for these types of crowd control efforts at the local level?
Well, like LRADs or sound cannons were deployed in 3 separate cities during the whole Ferguson issue and the situation there. And I think it's the right question to ask. And I think the overarching principle or issue is they want us to self-censor, and that's the worst kind of tyranny. They want us to be so afraid to speak out or protest or go to a rally that we will censor ourselves. And again, that is the worst kind of tyranny. So at the local level, some of the things that we can do is literally have our local elected officials not comply with the federal government. The federal government relies on local law enforcement, local elected officials, state elected officials to just go along with all these federal programs and sign these agreements. We don't have to do that. We cannot sign those agreements. We can actually get rid of those agreements. We can put in place a bulwark against what the federal government is trying to do to take away people's rights. And that is how we do it. One city at a time, one county at a time, one state at a time, by intentionally not going along and complying with the federal government and being their enforcement arm. That's what they have to use to enforce this stuff, because they aren't big enough to do it on their own. So if local governments fight back, county governments fight back, state governments fight back, the federal government literally will not be able to enforce all of these unconstitutional programs and actions.
That's what we saw in Nevada as the Bundy Ranch standoff was going on. The day that we arrived, they had a First Amendment area marked off. And the absurdity of that. Here you've got this large area that you just drive for hours and not see anything because it's all federally owned. And there's nothing built out there. And in this little corner of the wilderness, as you get off of the exit, there's this little area that's got a orange, utility construction stuff marked off. It says free speech area. And somebody had put up a handwritten sign said the free speech, that free speech is not an area. And so these were the actions of the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, the federals who had come in. And Bundy and others were asking the sheriff to exercise his lawful authority. There's a picture of it. We got it up there right now. Absolutely amazing. Free speech area. But, you know, Representative Shea, we've seen that at political conventions, the last several presidential conventions on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. They have limited free speech to remote areas in the city, putting people even in cages so they could come there and stand there and address each other in this little cage, but not address their grievances peacefully in front of the convention. That's the types of things that we're seeing. But in Nevada, they were asking the sheriff to exercise his lawful authority. They said, the BLM doesn't have any authority to come in here and rope off an area and say that's a free speech area. The governor said so as well. So why wouldn't the sheriff stop that? Why wouldn't the sheriff stop them attacking protesters, tasering protesters, taking them down to the ground, attacking a woman from behind and throwing her to the ground? That's why they were asking for a sheriff to exercise his lawful authority to protect the people in his jurisdiction. You're very right. This is a jurisdictional separation of powers. And we have the sheriff is the highest law enforcement official in the area. That's why he's elected.
That's been recognized by the Supreme Court correctly, time and time again, that he's the chief law enforcement officer in a county. And for most counties in this country, the federal government cannot operate in a law enforcement capacity in that county unless they have the county sheriff's explicit permission to do so. And if the county sheriff just stands in the way, and there are countless examples of county sheriffs doing this, stand in the way and say, no, you're not going to do that in my county, the federal government has to acquiesce. And I want to mention something about the First Amendment zone. I was there at the Bundy Ranch proudly, and I came back home and I was giving some presentations on it. And one of the questions I would always ask was, hey, is there any reporters in the audience right now? and a couple hands would go up, and I say, well, could you please go outside to the First Amendment zone that we have? And you could see them get visibly angry, right?
Yeah.
And then I asked the question, no, you don't like it, do you? Then why didn't you report on that? Why didn't the mainstream media pick that up? Because that is, that's a blatant violation of the Constitution. And by a BLM and Forest Service, by the way, that had been found by a federal district court judge, Robert C. Jones in U.S. v. Hage, to be, and he referred him for charges of extortion, mail fraud, and this is an agency of the government. You don't, and you don't hear that happening, but the last charge was more shocking: racketeering.
Yes.
This judge literally referred him for that. And this is the same outfit, these two agencies that were down there at the Bundy Ranch, again, just ignoring people's constitutional rights.
Absolutely. We've got to go to break right now. We're going to come back with Representative Matt Shea out of Washington State. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We've had an amazing year here at Supernatural Silver. We've truly enjoyed the fantastic response from thousands of people as they've tried our extraordinary product, and we're thrilled at the life-changing results people have. Our company email is continually full of happy, satisfied customers who thank us for the help they've received from Supernatural Silver. This holiday season, as you think of gifts to give your loved ones, consider giving Supernatural Silver, a gift that can help provide good health and wellness, a gift that can change lives and make a real difference. In a world where we are constantly exposed to dangerous health threats, give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance. Give Supernatural Silver. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code HOLIDAY2014 for 30% off. And this holiday season, we wish you and yours the blessings of peace and good health from all of us here at supernaturalsilver.com.
Using unparalleled research in the development of a synergistic formulation based around the key concepts of super oxygenation, the next level in cleansing is here. With key ingredients backed by real clinical studies, the new Oxy Powder, available through InfoWars Life, was invented during Dr. Group's research on the toxification of our bodies. Many herbal colon cleansers are harsh on the body and contain cheap and potentially dangerous ingredients, oftentimes full of synthetic fillers, GMOs, additives, or worse. Gently start cleaning your body with easy capsules that start working while you sleep. Oxy Powder does not require time off work, and there's no need for bad tasting concoctions. Instead, Oxy Powder slowly releases monoatomic oxygen into the intestinal tract and body. Experience the astonishing cleansing power of superoxide and ozonide technology. Go to InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com to get started with Oxy Powder, or call 1-888-253-3139.
Hey, Boomer! I learned in school today that 60% of our bodies are made of water. Good thing we have the Berkey system. It's the cleanest, best water ever. Mom says it's because the Berkey's filtration system cleans out the bad stuff and leaves only pure, delicious water. I know, right? You love it too. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. Let's go get some. Get Berkey clean water by calling 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653. Or visit GoBerkey.com.
My name is Dell, and I live in El Cajon, California. I was concerned about my cholesterol readings because I knew that high cholesterol is related to clogging of the arteries and increases the risk for heart attack and stroke. One day, I heard an ad for Heart and Body Extract, and I was skeptical, but I decided to give it a try. Man, the numbers don't lie.
Learn the secrets of an effective, natural, 100% organic nutritional supplement for a healthy heart and circulation at hbextract.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight in Austin, and joining us from Washington State is Representative Matt Shea. Now, he's on because of the video that we received last week from Washington, where a sheriff's deputy said he needed his MRAP to protect against constitutionalists. Subsequently, the sheriff's department, Sheriff Nezovich, put up a video on the following Monday saying that we were just a conspiracy theory site, and using essentially the Southern Poverty Law Center talking points. He said a lot of things in that 9-minute video. We put that up to give his side of the story, but we'd very much like to talk to Sheriff Knezovich. He said he would be willing to come on and talk to us. We'll be willing to talk to him. We'd like for him to come on and make that case. And we'll talk to him about that. Right now we have Representative Matt Shea, and he's been talking about the broader context there of these comments. And we've been talking about how we can get the police under control. I think it's a very good idea for us to put some kind of a limit on the kinds of equipment that the police need. I mean, do they need tactical nukes? Do they need bayonets? Do they need these MRAP vehicles? I don't think they do, and I don't think they need a lot of the crowd control methods equipment that we've seen already, as well as stuff that is in the pipeline from the military-industrial complex. It's a huge profit center that they're coming up with, and we're going to see some pretty hideous stuff if we don't get ahead of this. I think our best bet, the best way we have to blockade this is with representatives like Matt Shea out of Washington, who really understand and appreciate the Constitution. Don't see constitutionalists as the enemy, as the bad guy. I wanted to ask you, Representative Shea, in terms of excessive use of police force that we've seen over and over again, because this is something else that's being driven by the federals. What do we do about that? We've had lawyers on who've talked about this. Do we skip a grand jury for a police officer and say maybe if there's a shooting, we go straight to an open trial so everybody can see what's going on, maybe have an outside prosecutor? A lot of people have talked about these types of solutions. We need to have some confidence in the system, and it looks like the system is trying to investigate itself. How do we get control of that with citizen oversight committees? What would you suggest? Do you have any ideas on that?
I think it's a combination of both, actually. I think an outside prosecutor is non-negotiable in those situations and has to be used. I do think that a citizen rights review board should be a part of this, and not just talking about when there's an officer-involved shooting, but also where we're talking about this issue of the attitude, that constitutionalists are the bad guy. That citizen rights review board could also review training curriculum and ask questions if the training curriculum goes down the road of the Southern Poverty Law Center. That citizen rights review board could review all of the times that MRAP has been deployed during a year. So those are some things that I think need to happen. But I also think that constitutional rights training by a bona fide constitutional scholar needs to be implemented, obviously, in Spokane Valley. And that has to happen as well, because without that, the attitude just isn't going to change. I mean, this is a matter of right and wrong. It's right to uphold the Constitution, right to uphold your oath, and it's wrong to
Boy, we're getting a little bit of breakup there. I could not agree with you more, Representative Shea. People in Washington are so lucky to have somebody like you there to point this out. Getting in there and having an oversight from citizens as to what the curriculum is, I think that is really vital, because that really is the core at where this is going south. I think this is where the federal government is coming in, and they're propagandizing police officers, getting them afraid, inordinately afraid of the population, telling them that people are their enemy who are not their enemy. It's that kind of divide and conquer that is very dangerous. I think it's very, very important to have that kind of oversight. Just before we go, tell us one more time where this demonstration is going to be this weekend on Saturday.
It's going to be at Spokane County Courthouse at 12 o'clock, and then we're going to be moving out to the Spokane Valley Sheriff's Office at 2 o'clock. And all the good deputies want this training, too. I would add that. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you so much for joining us. The people of Washington are very lucky to have you. Thank you so much, Representative Matt Shea from Washington State. That's it for today. Join us tonight at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Nightly News.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.